Well, good morning, everyone. Thomas Montgomery here with IIMFL and Smart Money Alliance. It's my pleasure to visit with you like we do most weekday mornings. We typically get together about a minute before 8 o'clock Central, most Mondays through Fridays, and talk with our distribution partners. We have three primary types of distribution partners. We have affiliates, free and easy to be an affiliate. Who wouldn't want to be an affiliate? Help spread the word, help educate, no selling involved, and get paid $1,000 on the front end and 1% of the client's capital raise with the Access to Capital program, which of course to the client has no upfront cost, $100,000 guarantee, no minimum credit scores, no minimum time in business to enroll. It's not MLM, it's not network marketing, but we do pay overrides to our affiliates. So you're able to be paid the same 1% of the capital raise for any production of your sub-affiliates. And since the model does go 3 levels deep, you get paid the same for your sub-affiliates, if you will. Secondly, we have our credit literacy educators. Our topic today is going to be very, very relevant for our credit literacy educators. Our credit literacy educators also do not sell anything. They educate and create awareness. They feed folks in for the Credit Boost program, which is remarkable. No upfront cost. We guarantee a credit improvement, and there's again, just no upfront cost. It's based on performance. And then thirdly, we have at the top of the hill, top of the mountain, cream of the crop, our joint venture partners. They're unusual as compared to the other two roles because they actually work with clients. They actually mentor the clients during the 4-week process when we're building their financial literacy and building their loan package. The key person policies are typically sold by the joint venture partners. Okay, so enough of that. Let's drill into the topic for today. And I think this is very relevant because just yesterday we had a training and we talked about the 4 C's. Same thing you and I learned in school, but unfortunately a lot of entrepreneurs, small business owners aren't aware of. If you want to borrow money, you have to have some combination of the 4 C's. Don't have to have all of them, but you need some combination. You all probably remember what those are: credit, cash flow, collateral, and character. We talked about that on training yesterday, didn't we? Also, I did send out our new YouTube channel so you're able to access all the past trainings. There's, I believe, well over 100 past trainings. So I did email out to you the link so you could subscribe to the YouTube channel, which frankly, you don't have to view the YouTubes. We leave them open to the public, but that way, if you subscribe, then you'll receive automatic notification each time a new training is added. But the point is, there are the 4 C's if we want to borrow money. Now, we have some clients that come to us that don't want to borrow money. They don't want debt, and that's okay. So then we can look at other sources of capital that does not require an indebtedness. It does not require the responsibility, the obligation to promise to repay the money. It's not borrowed money. But if we're going to borrow money, whether it be SBA or non-SBA, a term or a revolving installment or revolving, if we're going to pay money back, then we're going to have some combination of the 4 C's. Let's talk about creditworthiness for a few minutes. So there's 2 types of creditworthiness. There's personal creditworthiness and there's business creditworthiness. On the personal side, I want to spend a few minutes and talk about 3 primary strategies for removing derogatory items. Now, again, I'm always prepared for the pessimist in the room. So it's like, oh, so you're saying you have to have great credit to get a capital raise? No, I'm not saying that at all. There are different sources of capital. Each have their own underwriting criteria. Some don't look at personal credit at all. But I think a logical person would aspire to have optimal personal and business credit. It's going to give you more options, better rates, better access to capital. So with that being said, how do we go about improving personal credit? Well, it's somewhat of a formula, isn't it? Depending upon the individual starting point. Usually it's adding positive to strengthen the demonstration of responsible borrowing and payment behavior, and removing derogatory or removing negative items. Now, not all of our clients need to improve their credit scores, either because it's already strong or the capital raise that we're pursuing is not credit dependent. And then certainly not everyone has derogatory items that need to be addressed. But it's not unusual that we have clients that have some derogatory items. So we're going to educate for a few minutes and have some exchange on 3 primary strategies to remove derogatory items. So if all's going well, I'm sharing my screen and you're seeing this right now. So let's talk about each of the 3 and have some dialogue on it. So one option, and this is what we have historically helped clients do, we do soft credit pulls after week 2 or during week 2 of the 4-week process. Thus, it doesn't cost the client anything, doesn't impact their credit score. They don't have to go fish around and find a credit report and send to us. We have direct data pull authority from the bureaus. So we will do a soft credit pull, and then we'll counsel the client, if warranted, about strategies. And one strategy that we've frequently talked to several clients just yesterday is, hey, why don't you get back with the data furnisher? Data furnisher is kind of a fancy term saying, well, whoever reported the negative item, right? Could have been the primary creditor, might have been a collection agency. But the bottom line is, strategy number 1, the first bullet that we're on here, is to work with whomever furnished that data. A common strategy is called pay for deletion. And we'll see this. We'll have someone that owes $100 to Verizon, for example, and it's really jacking up their credit. Well, what would happen if you called Verizon and said, hey, I would like to resolve that debt, but I need to have it in writing that if I pay you, and you may offer a negotiated amount or the full $100 in this example, but regardless of how much you're paying, you're getting them to agree to remove that derogatory listing. Because a failure, a mistake, a fallacy that we often see is people will pay old debts and the debt still remains on the credit report. It may report as a $0 balance, but it still shows as a derogatory. So pay for deletion is a common strategy. There's pros and cons of each of these strategies. Now, the pro is there's no third-party fee to us or anyone else, right? In that example, you call Verizon and you say, hey, I want to take care of it. And what would it take to take care of it? Maybe you make an offer, maybe they offer a discount, maybe they don't, but you're getting it in writing from them that if you pay them the amount owed or the discounted amount agreed, that they'll remove it from your credit report. So that is good. The con is not all data furnishers will agree to a discounted amount, but even more important than that, some won't agree for a pay for deletion. They say, oh, we can't do that. It's going to report as it reports. Some will never offer it in writing, so now you're kind of rolling the dice if they'll actually do what they said that they would do or not. And then the other primary con is it's not always a little $100 Verizon account, right? I was working with a client yesterday, Mike, and he has some big charge-offs on his credit report, big charge-offs. And so it wouldn't be $100 or a few $100s. It would most likely be tens of thousands of dollars to make those go away with this strategy. Okay, so I'm going to pause for a moment before we get into the other 2 strategies. Does anyone have any questions that you'd like to post into the Q&A, the question and answer box of Zoom, about working with the data furnisher to remove the negative listing? Anyone have any questions on that? I think it's pretty straightforward. And again, it can work if the debt is still with the primary creditor, like in this case, Verizon, or if it's been sold off to a collection agency, then you would have to talk to them. It's whomever is reporting the derogatory information. Okay, so I think it's all clear. I don't see any questions on that. And that's historically what we've done is we've talked to clients and said, hey, is this yours? Do you owe the money? Well, yes. Well, maybe you'd want to pay the money that you owe. That would be a credible thing to do, right? You promised to pay Verizon way back when, and you haven't paid Verizon, so it's no surprise they're reporting in this example negatively. What if you actually did what you promised to do, pay the debt, and then negotiate with them for it to go away? So that's scenario one. And I'm not ranking these in order of preference. We're just going through three options. Let's go to number two, using credit repair. Now, this is typically a process, and there's many credit repair companies out there, and they have some different processes. We're not a credit repair company. So the good news is there's many options out there. Now, the con is it doesn't remove the balance. So again, I know some of you, like Monique's on the line here, I believe, she has a great credit repair program. So you pay her, I think it's $2,500 in advance, if I recall correctly, and then she'll go dispute whatever magic she does. Well, if she gets a negative item removed off, it didn't make the balance go away. So using that Verizon example, you frankly still owe Verizon the $100. It's just not reporting on your credit report. And so maybe that's important for you to resolve that balance. Maybe it's not, but it's important to understand just because you kind of gamed the system and got a negative item off your credit report, it doesn't mean that the debt is no longer valid. Second is there are different credit repair programs with different price points and different levels of efficacy. But the point is it can be expensive, and then it can take quite a while. If they're doing just that typical dispute process, it's usually operating in 60-day cycles. How many cycles of disputes might it take? And then along the way, what's happening is you're getting dispute codes put on your credit report, this item in dispute by the client, and that can be a red flag for lenders. But this is another option. So option number one is work with the data furnisher directly, get the item to go away. The second is to use credit repair, not really resolving the debt, but trying to remove it from the credit report. So I think we're probably very familiar with credit repair. Okay, so now we're going to get to a more advanced model that is really where I wanted to go with this, to help you understand that there is another option that exists. So it's using a legal-based model. It's very important to realize it's not credit repair. It's not credit repair. It's legal documentation sent in to contest the derogatories based upon a data breach. And so what the attorneys and or paralegals actually do is they actually will reference, because we've all seen, right, our data is often at risk because of breaches by Bank of America or by Amazon or PayPal or Target or Walmart. Probably every month or so or more often, you'll see in the news some sort of data breach may have occurred or has occurred, and you may or may not have been affected by that. So the legal-based model is essentially using legal documentation contesting based upon a data breach that you may have been impacted by. There are some pros and there are some cons of the legal-based model, which of course there's pros and cons of all the strategies. Let's talk about some of the pros of the legal-based model. We've worked with this legal group for a while, kind of beta testing it, and they're averaging right at 96 to 97% success rate. And I realize you could look at that as a glass half full or glass half empty. It's not 100% successful. Seems like it should be, but it's not. It is almost all the time, but not all the time. So around a 96, 97% success rate. So that's a pro. I think you might say it's a con because it doesn't work 100% of the time, but probably neither do these. Okay. Second is it is effective, surprisingly, in removing bankruptcies. I had a Chapter 7, went through the process, and the bankruptcies came off. So I have a personal testimony of it and have many other clients that have gone through the process with bankruptcy removal. It is effective in removing inquiries as well, foreclosures, charge-offs, collections, and surprisingly, even child support payments that are overdue. So, and student loans. I should have put student loans on there. So, very, very effective, but not 100%. Another pro, and I guess you could look at it either way, it's not requiring you to go pay the balance. You know, we were using the Verizon example up here. Well, pay $100 and get them to negotiate for it to be removed. And then not only is it removed from the credit report, the debt satisfied. This doesn't require you to actually pay the debt because we're contesting it based upon your data being involved with the breach. It is not instant. You know, people will promise things that sometimes are too good to be true, and then people are disappointed afterwards. But this is a 4 to 8 week process. On the beta test we've done, it's averaged around 6 weeks. So we do believe that we can have clients ready for funding in 60 days from the time that they start the legal-based model. And it's very affordable. Some of you are already asking the cost. I don't know. We're trying to resolve that. So with this legal group that we've done some beta testing with, we're trying to get it for free for our clients, but it's hard to get them to want to do the work for free. So we're not successful yet in getting them to do it for free, but we've requested. So we're trying to figure out how low, because we have thousands of clients a month that probably need this. So we're still determining what their price point will be for our clients. I don't know the answer to that yet. So, but there's cons, right? Everything in general has both pros and cons. It will not work for late payments. And so that's a little bit of a catch there. So let's say you have an open account that's reporting positively now, but 2 or 3 months ago or 6 or 12 months ago or whenever at some point in the past, you were 30 days late or 60 days late. This does not work to make that singular late payment go away. So that's a weakness or a con. But what you and I know is the older the transgression, the less impactful it is. So if you had a late pay last month, that really sucks because that's a recent late pay. We'd probably go back to the data furnisher in that case and try to plead for some sort of forgiveness and exception. But it does not remove late payments if you want to keep the account reporting. Now, if it's an account that you don't want to continue to have reporting, then it can strip the whole account off, as well as the late payment reference, of course. And then people hate, I shouldn't say this, but I think in general, people hate add-on purchases when you have to spend extra money for something. But the legal group does require a certain monitoring service. It's around $20 a month. I forget exactly what it is, but they require that so they can track live progress. And again, I wish it wasn't the case. Maybe we'll end up paying for this for clients. I don't know dollar-wise how it's going to shake through. What I'm trying to do is get your feedback on your thoughts of, do you think from your experience, because you're the feet on the street, right? You're out there talking to clients, talking to referral sources. Do you think that there's much of a demand for the legal-based model? And if so, what do you think is a reasonable price point? Now, if we're going to just negotiate with the legal firm and get it at cost, and if they won't agree to do it for free, if they just do it at cost, then there's no commission off of it, right? So you might not like that. So I'm curious for your feedback. If you can type into the question and answer $2 amounts. What do you think the price to the client should be for the legal-based model, and how much commission should it pay out to you? So you might say, well, I think $1,000 to the client's reasonable, and $250 or $500 paid out commissions. Again, I don't know what it will be. I'm here to ask you, based upon educating you on 3 different strategies, because we don't do credit repair. Many of you do credit repair, and we're not going to get in your way of that. That's important. We do educate clients on how to work with the data furnishers to remove that. That's part of what we already do with our credit consults for our access to capital and credit boost clients. This would be something different. So looking for feedback from each of you, what you think a good price point would be for the client and how much commission it should pay for you, and any other feedback. So I'm going to go through some of your comments here. Stefan says, people have issues that are not our fault. We just try to clean them up best we can. Well, what we're trying to do is help them access capital. And we've talked about the 4 C's. And while not all sources of capital are credit dependent, some are impacted by credit. And so that's why we're having the conversation. But I agree with you, Stefan. But I also realize that we're in a difficult environment. And so that difficult environment right now means that a lot of people don't have, people are getting stimulus payments even this week, but in general, charging them $5,000 and you making $2,000, sounds great to you, but I think there's very few people that can afford or will pay $5,000. So there has to be some reasonableness. Demetrius proposes a down payment and then a monthly fee. The pushback that we have on that is we don't really want to charge them monthly fees for this, because that would really reward us for taking longer, when really we want to get this done as quickly as possible and get them funded. And we all get paid the performance fee off of the funding. So I appreciate your feedback, Demetrius, but I don't think that we want to charge them monthly for this legal-based model, because number one, it should only take 1 to 2 months. And if we are charging them monthly, then we would have a financial incentive to drag it out. We don't want that. That's a criticism of like Lexington Law, a big company, I think still the nation's largest credit repair company, but they charge monthly. So you could argue, well, what's the reason that they would want to get anything done very quickly? Not saying that they delay or do anything unethical, but I'm just saying a monthly pay approach to credit repair, I think, is to the disadvantage of the client. All right. Barry thinks a good price to the client would be $500 with $150 commission. Thank you for that feedback. James thinks $695 to the client for the legal-based model is a good price point with $150 commission. Thank you, James. Stefan says take the payment out of funding, and that's not a really bad idea, but the attorneys won't do that, right? That's not how attorneys work. They've got to be paid for their time up front. And so unless you want us to pay the attorneys out of our pocket, Stefan, or if you want to pay the attorneys for your clients out of your pocket, they're going to have to be paid. Now we're asking them to do it for free. They've not even entertained that yet. So now we're trying to figure out what type of reduction we can get. So we're in the process of figuring that out, but taking it out of funding would require someone to pay the legal team up front, because they're not going to wait. And this is not in-house. This is not us doing it. It's a legal firm. Kwong asked a good point. Yeah. So some of you are using Legal Shield, and Legal Shield's a very good program. It's a national program. It used to be called Prepaid Legal. And so it used to be that they wouldn't help with credit. Now they will help to a certain extent. So certainly, for what, $30 a month or whatever it is, you can enroll in Legal Shield and try to get them to help with this. Unfortunately, we've not seen consistency with Legal Shield in using this strategy. So I don't believe that, while I do think that Legal Shield's valuable, I don't sell it, but I have it as a client, as a small business owner. They're not going to be able to implement this model. So this is not a Legal Shield model. Thank you, Kwong, for clarifying that. John asked, how is this different than Credit Boost? Well, with Credit Boost, we educate them about number one. Many of you do credit repair that's offering Credit Boost number two, but Credit Boost is not built around hiring legal professionals to do this, right? So Credit Boost is really based around adding positive, which may be enough, but some clients, John, and it's not your case individually, but some people have bad credit because they've not paid their bills on time. And so adding positive is valuable, but they're still shackled a little bit with negative history. And as we talked about in the beginning, if we can both add positive and remove negative, then we're going to get the highest scores. Thank you, John, for that question. Stefan says he believes customers would pay the cost out of funding since there's no risk. Well, that'd be fine if you wanted to hire the attorneys out of your own pocket, Stefan, for them to do all this work. But I can't find attorneys that want to work for free. So we've got a little bit of a mismatch there of what you would like to offer clients for free and what attorneys want to be paid. Demetrius has an interesting point. He said, what if we increase the refundable deposit to $3,000 from the $2,500? Yeah, so that's an interesting point. Maybe we build it in, we position it as Demetrius is saying, more of a deposit. So technically it wouldn't cost them anything. In the end, they would pay a deposit based upon what we can negotiate with the legal team that would cover the cost of the legal team doing their work. And then the client would get that amount back out of funding. That's a really good idea, Demetrius. Thank you for that. So it still would require a little bit of skin in the game from the client because the attorneys aren't going to work for free, but instead of it being a fee, it would actually be a refundable deposit. That's very interesting, Demetrius. All right. All right, so we've got a few other questions that I want to address that were posted in the Q&A. Is there any other comments or feedback anyone has on this topic? So let me summarize and we'll get into kind of the free form questions. So 3 ways to remove derogatory items from a credit report. Work with the data furnisher. We do this already. We don't charge anything for it. It's value add that we provide to clients. Rather they're in Capital Ready 3.0, access to capital, or Credit Boost is giving them guidance on this. And so I think we would all agree, not a bad idea, right? Pay your bills. If you promise to pay someone, wouldn't it be nice if you did what you said that you would do and pay your bill? But that's not always feasible. There's credit repair, and there's many of you that do a great job with credit repair, and we do not want to interfere with your credit repair services. We don't provide credit repair. We're not going to start offering credit repair, but so that is certainly one option. And then the third option that we are primarily talking about today is using a legal-based model that is not credit repair, but it's really a legal process, a legal documentation. It works almost all the time on bankruptcies, inquiries, foreclosures, charge-offs, collections, and child support issues, as well as student loans. Doesn't require the balance to be paid, so it's less expensive than working directly with the data furnisher. It's fast, but it's not immediate. So it'll keep us on track to have clients ready for funding in 60 days. Some clients want funding before that, and that's fine if they're credible enough. But if they don't have a good history of paying their bills on time, then obviously there's a credibility issue that this could resolve. And on the beta testing, it's been very affordable. But again, what we're trying to negotiate now, we'd love to get it for free for clients. I don't think the attorneys are going to agree to that. We're trying to find out what the pricing would be. We don't know yet. We're still working on that. And that was one of the questions that Stefan had. When will we know the cost? hopefully soon. I'm here primarily to get feedback from each of you to find out what your thoughts are. Okay, so let's go ahead and go to the rest of the questions that you all have, and they're not tied to the topic today. So it's kind of a general open forum. So here we go. Let's see. On the Credit Boost program, would it make more sense to get customers' credit score increase prior to submitting to Access to Capital? No, I don't think so. I would bring them into Access to Capital without filtering them. Bring them in because there's no minimum credit score, no minimum time in business for them to enroll. Let us spend 4 weeks with them, build their financial literacy, identify the right type or sources of capital for them, and then we can help them meet the underwriting criteria. I wouldn't do anything to delay the enrollment into Access to Capital. Great question, though. Okay, second question we have kind of on the free form is, are there any updates on the startup financing program? So within Credit Boost, the concept of Credit Boost is essentially the opposite of what we just talked about here. Credit Boost is not this, it's adding positive, and there's many different positive trade lines, one of which is the $10,000 credit card that's under the EIN alone. So I guess I pivot a little bit. So adding positive credit, in many cases, clients come to us that are subprime for Credit Boost. And so with that, then we have to add credit subprime type of trade lines to get them up to prime so they can get normal funding. A different question I combined accidentally. Are we still offering the $10,000 Business MasterCard that's under the EIN alone? Yes, and we actually will probably be talking about that tomorrow or this week. They've tweaked a little bit the underwriting for that, but it's great. It's a $10,000 Business MasterCard under the EIN only, no personal guarantee. That's a separate discussion and actually will be one of the topics of training here coming up soon. Also, there's a question regarding helping clients with cash flow. So absolutely, clients can become an affiliate. It's free and easy to become an affiliate. They can generate income, have that income going to their business bank account, and then give them both working capital and liquidity to be able to get their key person policies to get their business where it needs to be. So that's earned income that you're asking there. And then we have a question about shell corporations. And so, yes, we can help use shell corps to access capital. Robert's talking about DocuSigns. Our DocuSigns expire after 120 days. Now they'll start giving, hey, it's going to expire soon, I think after 5 or 7 days, but our DocuSigns don't expire for 120 days. So it'll keep going out every day for 120 days, unless the client signs or avoids it, which is fine in either case. All right, so this gentleman wants to offer prospects access to capital and Credit Boost. Well, I wouldn't offer the same client both. I would just enroll them in access to capital, and we'll organically determine if they need Credit Boost in the second week when we do the soft credit pull. I think it's confusing for those of you that want to submit clients for both access to capital and Credit Boost at one time. You can do that, but if they're going to come into access to capital, I would just say let the Credit Boost come about organically, which if they need it, that'll be recommended to them after the second week based upon their credit profile. All right, and so, yeah, if you want to be a joint venture partner, that's fine. And as a joint venture partner, then we do a 50-50 split of the net revenue. If you don't want to be a joint venture partner, that's fine. Then you would just remain as an affiliate. If you want to work with a joint venture partner, but you don't want to be a joint venture partner, you certainly can refer one in. We pay you $5,000 once they pay their license fee in full. So it's a nice sign-up bonus or a sign-on bonus for you. Actually, as it mentioned here at the bottom of the page, they get 25,000 sign-on bonus once they pay their license fee in full. So you're making $5 grand, they're making 25 grand, and then Stefan, you can work with your preferred JV partners however you want. As far as positive, we have a question about how long positive credit stays on credit reports. Normally, items will remain on 7 years. There's not a legal requirement that they stay on 7 years, and that's why these strategies we're talking about here can make items go away. But in general, items will continue to report for 7 years. There's a few exceptions to that, but that's the norm. All right, so I think I'm current with the questions. So let me summarize and then we'll wrap up. If you have any other questions you want to put into Zoom, go ahead. So different sources of capital have different underwriting criteria. There are no universal answers. Do you have to have good credit to get funding? No. Do all sources of capital require personal guarantees or personal credit? No, but some do. I think an astute, a wise, a logical, a smart person would say, hey, I want to have the best possible personal credit profile I can and the best possible business credit profile that I can. We help clients as they go through the access to capital build their business credit. We also help them in a certain capacity of helping them address derogatory items, encouraging them to go back and work with the data furnisher and get a pay for deletion. Some of you offer credit repair, which is fine. So they're paying you extra fees outside of our program and you're helping contest the derogatory items. That's fine. What we talked about today is that there is another option, not competing with the other two, but it's a legal-based model. It's not credit repair, whereby legal documents are prepared to have specified derogatory items removed. It's, in summary, 96% successful, handles most derogatory items, doesn't require you to have to pay off the balance of the amount owed. It is quick, but it's not immediate. It's going to normally push us back for funding about 60 days. So if the person's got strong enough credit profile and we're using a source of capital that requires the use of personal credit, then why would we delay? But if there's a problem, they've not paid their bills on time in the past, so that makes them look riskier to the lender, then in 60 days, we can scrub those items off with almost perfect effectiveness. And again, we're still figuring, everybody wants to know the price. I don't know the price. We're trying to work with the law firm to get the best price possible and then decide if we're going to pay for it, or if you want to pay for it for your clients, or if we're going to pass the cost off to them, or as we asked about earlier, should we mark it up? If we can get it for X dollars, should we mark it up X plus $150 and get you paid as well? That was the feedback that we wanted to get from you. Okay, any other questions on these three strategies? And I realize there's some open-ended issues here with the legal-based model, but the point today was to introduce it and get your feedback, which was very valuable. Any other questions that anyone has on these three strategies? Okay, we will be back tomorrow morning, 7:59 a.m. Central, just a minute before 8 o'clock. And remember, subscribe to the YouTube channel, because A, it's free, B, it'll plug you into all the past trainings. There's over 100 of them. And then also, as we add new trainings, you'll automatically be notified. All right. Well, thanks, everyone. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.